1975 to 1979, in the midst of the chaos caused by the Cambodian Civil War, the Khmer Rouge, led by Pol Pot, carried out the Cambodian Genocide, killing nearly a quarter of the population. They forced citizens into labor camps, going against previous laws and disregarding the Constitution, abolishing basic human and social rights, targeting mankind and minorities. In 1979, Vietnam invaded, overthrowing the regiment and exposing all of their wrongdoings. Currently, the Cambodian Genocide is an important piece of history in Cambodian culture. The people have recovered, rebuilt, and are no longer held down by the Khmer Rouge or their reign of terror. Before the genocide, Prince Sihanouk ruled over Cambodia. His authoritarian style of ruling was good for Cambodia, and his people treated him with much respect, and Cambodia was overall in a good place, until the Cambodian Civil War happened. 8 years before the genocide began, Cambodia was engaged in a bloody civil war. The war pitted the Cambodian monarchy and later the Cambodian Republic and its allies, including the United States, against the Cambodian communists. The Khmer Rouge, led by Pol Pot, took over Cambodia in 1975 during the chaos and disarray caused by the aftermath of the Civil War. They wanted to create a simple farming society, so they forced people out of cities and into hard labor camps. Many people starved, got sick, or were killed if they didn't follow the rules. Around 2 million people died because of their harsh rule. Places like the killing fields and the S-21 prison became known for mass killings and torture. Fancy Payne, a survivor from the genocide, stated,
មិនលោកបុកនាមដែរគ្មានកន្ទេលមួយដើម្បីរុំសពយកទៅធ្វើយកទៅកប់ទេកូនកូនចឹងដែរអត់មានស្អីរុំសពទេហើយកូនត្រូវទៅគេកាប់ដីឲ្យជីកដណ្ដៅកប់កូនឲ្យខ្លួនឯងកប់បងឲ្យខ្លួនឯងកប់ឪពុកម្ដាយឲ្យខ្លួនឯងដូច្នេះអត់មានបោះទំហំបានថាអ្នកណាស្លាប់ទៅសោកជាងអ្នកណាអត់ចឹងទេនាងសោកស្ដាយរហូត គ្រប់គ្នាទាំងអស់លោកដល់ទីបំផុតនៅម្នាក់ឯងខ្ញុំអត់ដឹងថាខ្ញុំជាអ្នកណាទេខ្ញុំលែងចង់បានអីខ្ញុំលែងទៅការអីទាំងអស់
When Sihanouk took over, Cambodians had basic rights to live in a society where they would work for food and money, grow plants, breed animals, and overall they lived in a fair, healthy society. Before Sihanouk took over, Cambodia was under French rule, but eventually King Sihanouk took a stand against the French by revolting, and eventually Cambodia gained independence and freedom. On November 9, 1953, after 90 years of the colonial rule, Cambodia regained independence as French authority in the kingdom, and in neighboring Vietnam and Laos crumbled in the face of eternal revolts. King Norodom Sihanouk, who had campaigned for the end of colonial control, returned from exile to lead the country. Rule under the Khmer Rouge immediately and intentionally transformed Cambodian life, declaring it year zero from which life must completely change. Pol Pot, former school teacher and dictator, at the head of the newly renamed Democratic Campuchia, put forth genocidal policies that relocated, enslaved, tortured, and murdered enormous numbers of Cambodians. Once in control, the Khmer Rouge evacuated the city of Phnom Penh, moving 3 million civilians to the nation's rural fields. The people were made to work long hours of backbreaking slave labor and received little, if anything, to eat. Malnutrition and medical neglect were rampant. When their labor fell short of production, girls, men, women, and children were beaten. What became known as the killing fields, where piles of decaying bodies littered the earth, notoriously bore witness to the genocide. The provision of familiar institutions helped support the regime's genocidal policies. And probably the most infamous example, when high school was converted into the S-21 prison, where up to 20,000 prisoners were tortured into writing confessions to crimes they had never committed. With this ruse, the perpetrators could maintain some illusion that their practice of mass executions was warranted. Pol Pot had the responsibility to uphold and respect the rights of the citizens of Cambodia, but he didn't. They completely destroyed the vision Sihanouk had for Cambodia, refused to abide by the laws set by the Constitution of Cambodia, and abused their power by stripping away Cambodian rights. The Khmer Rouge took over Cambodia and all of the responsibilities that come with being a leader, but instead of helping Cambodia, they abused their powers, and anyone that spoke out against their wrongdoings would be killed. The Khmer Rouge referred to people who supported their vision as pure people, and persecuted anyone they deemed impure. Within days of taking power, the regiment killed thousands of military officers, personnel, and forcibly moved millions of people out of cities, killing anyone who refused or was too slow. The Khmer Rouge policies were guided by its belief that the citizens of Cambodia had been tainted by exposure to outside ideas, especially by the capitalist West. The Khmer Rouge persecuted the educated, such as doctors, lawyers, and current or former military and police. Christian, Buddhist, and Muslim citizens also were specifically targeted. In an effort to create a society without competition in which people worked for the common good, the Khmer Rouge placed people in collective living arrangements or communes and enacted re-education programs to encourage the commune lifestyle. People were divided into categories that reflected the trust that the Khmer Rouge had for them. The most trustworthy were called old citizens. The pro-Western city dwellers began as new citizens and could move up to deportees, then candidates, and finally full-right citizens. However, most citizens never moved up. Those who refused re-education were killed in the fields surrounding the commune or at the infamous present Cantor Slang Center, known as S21. Over 4 years, the Khmer Rouge killed more than 1.7 million people through work, starvation, and torture. In 1979, the Khmer Rouge aimed outwards with the goal of creating a new Angkoran empire. This led to attacks to newly unified Vietnam, which eventually provoked the country's army to invade Cambodia. At the time, China opposed the action by Vietnam. Because of the support for China, the Khmer Rouge regiment was able to keep its seat at the UN until 1982, 3 years after it lost power. Outside parties like the U.S. government took little action after finding out what happened. Nevertheless, the U.S. government took little action. With the disaster, the defeat in Vietnam still fresh in memory, Washington was reluctant to get involved in the region again. It proceeded with its military withdrawal from the Southeast Asian mainland. Vietnam witnessed the wrongdoing of Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge and decided that they needed to put a stop to it. The Khmer Rouge was removed from power when Communist Vietnam invaded in January 1979 and established a pro-Vietnamese regiment in Cambodia. Many of the survivors fled to refugee camps in Thailand. Of these, many went on to immigrate to the United States. After being liberated by Vietnam, other countries also made an effort to help Cambodia, and peace eventually returned. In 1989, with Soviet power crumbling and resistance forces undefeated, Vietnamese troops withdrew from Cambodia. In 1991, the warring Cambodian factions reached a peace agreement in Paris by which the United Nations and would send peacekeepers to supervise the disarming of the factions and the revival of Cambodia's constitutional monarchy. A while after, Cambodia began to rebuild and eventually even appointed a new ruler. In 1993, Cambodians voted in unsupervised elections, and a new government, Hun Sen, a former Khmer Rouge commander who had long headed the pro-Vietnamese government in Phnom Penh, shared the office of Prime Minister with Sihanouk's son, Prince Norodom. Almost 40 years after his abdication as a young man, Sihanouk himself again became king. To summarize, from 1975 to 1979, in the midst of the chaos caused by the Cambodian Civil War, the Khmer Rouge, led by Pol Pot, carried out the Cambodian Genocide, killing nearly a quarter of the population. They forced citizens into labor camps, going against previous laws and disregarding the Constitution, abolishing basic human and social rights, targeting mankind and minorities. In 1979, Vietnam invaded, overthrowing the regiment and exposing all of their wrongdoings. Currently, the Cambodian Genocide is an important piece of history in Cambodian culture, but Cambodian people have recovered, rebuilt, and are no longer held down by the Khmer Rouge or the Reign of Terror.